and welcome back to our vegetables, eggs, fruit and farinaceous unit. So we've covered quite a bit now. You've seen a few of the videos. We've done the eggs, we've done our omelette, we've done our frittata, we've done some vegetable ratatouille, our green beans. So we started to cover quite a few things. Now we're moving on to potato. Okay, now potato is a staple in a lot of countries. Being from Ireland, it's a very big staple in Ireland. Here in Australia, it is also quite a big staple. Now, there's a lot of varieties of potatoes. In West Australia, we don't have the luxury of the extent available to us that is actually grown. We've got quite a limited selection here. Some of the main ones that we'll see, you'll see some big white ones in supermarkets called Delaware. Great for baking and things like that. Quite a waxy sort of a body to it, or you know, mash to it if you use it. You got red. Stop, chef.
Royal Blue.
Royal Blues.
Do you stop?
There we go. Royal Blues. So Royal Blues, and there's one called Reds. Just simply call them Reds. They're a slightly different colour. We're using Royal Blue today, and I will use Royal Blue 90% of the time. I find it excellent for mash. It's great for chips. Great for frying. It's great for making things like gnocchi. So that's what will be my go-to most of the time. You also get you'll see little long finger-shaped potatoes. They're called kifler potatoes. They're great for salads. They've got a real waxy, sort of a starchy content. They can work really well for salads. So that's really it. So what we're going to do today, we're going to make what's called a Duchesse, which is a classic French preparation. Okay, back in the day, it was used for a lot of things. It was used as a lot of garnish. When they used to do silver service style, you know, back in France and in Europe and places like that, they would often pipe this mixture of potato on a platter, and it would be a way of keeping sauce on the plate and so on. That's actually the Duchesse mixed, but there is actually a potato dish called Duchesse. Not very popular nowadays. Possibly for a function. It's quite handy because it's something that can be pre-done and then just lifted onto the plate during your service. Okay, and then we're going to do like an extension of that, and that's called a Marquise. Okay, and that's just slightly, we make a little nest shape and we fill it with a tomato concasse. Okay, so the first thing we need, now I've just made a mashed potato. I don't need to show you how to mash potato, but what I will say, a couple of key points. Okay, when you've boiled your potato or steam is preferable, because you want as little moisture as possible, but that's not always possible. So just, if you boil them, that's fine. When you strain them in the colander, put them back into the pot and put on a low heat on the stove, and you just see the steam coming off, okay? And then that'll be them dried out enough. And then you must pass them through either a mouli, which you may have at home or not, or a potato ricer, okay? And failing any of them, just mash it by hand with a masher and then put it through a flour sieve. Okay, but you must get it very fine. Okay, you can't have any lumps in it. All right. So the key there is we're looking for dry texture, not moisture, and a nice fine mash. Okay, so which is what I've got here. Now this is a kilo of potato mash. So what I'm going to do is make one mix, and we'll do some in Duchesse and some in Marquise. So what you're going to need simply is a potato, or your potato. You're going to need a piping bag. Okay, then it's a size 9. Tube in it. It's not set in stone, but about that size. Okay. You need a pastry bush, and that's really it, and a baking tray. Okay. So I've got my mash. I'm going to add in my butter. Actually, I'll melt the butter because it's a little bit
firm.
All good. Okay. Alright, so I've got some nutmeg. That's pre-grated. You can get fresh stuff and grate yourself if you wish. That is a signature part of this dish. It's got that flavour to it, okay? And I got 3 egg yolks, okay? I'm just going to add them in. I'm going to use a whisk because I want to try and get a nice soft texture to it. I have my butter. Chef. Okay. You can see that nice Always make sure potatoes as well when you cook them. Never refresh potato. Some people will suggest that you do, but you never do because it holds moisture and it becomes soapy. So if you're going to do it even for potato salad, drain it and let it cool down. Do never refresh it in water, okay? Another variety that I think of that is common here is called a chat potato, which are the small little baby ones which you see. A lot of restaurants and hotels would use them because they're easy for portion control, 1 or 2 or 3 per serve and so on. Okay, so there's my mash. 1 kilo of mashed potato, 3 egg yolks, a pinch of nutmeg, I think about 50-60 grams of butter. Now, very important is salt. Salt and potato, very important. And some pepper.
Is that ground white pepper?
It's actually ground white pepper, yes. We don't use black because it'll give little black marks through it, okay? Alright, so we got our mash, okay? So for a concasse, I'm going to cook one. I sweated off some shallots, added my diced tomato, cooked it down with a bit of garlic. I'm going to add some chopped parsley to it. And I'm going to mix that around.
So where's that going in this dish?
That's going to be for the Marquis. So I'm going to split this mix between the 2 dishes, okay? One is our Duchesse. Now the brilliant thing about potato, especially for a young chef starting out, it's great for practicing your piping. Okay, so, you know, cream piping or whatever, it's all the same technique, alright? So this is great, because what you can do, you can pipe it, you make a mess, you just put it back in the bag and do it again. So you can make up a kilo of mashed potato at home for a few dollars and spend an hour or so long just keep piping and piping and piping. Piping, practicing shells or squirrels or whatever it is you want to do, okay? So I'll take a piping bag. Now, just fill a piping bag, fold it down over your hand, okay? And then put the mix in, and you can use it just to scoop it off, like that, okay? The key as well is not to overfill it.
Just moving back to that mix, is that warm? So is it better, easy to warm it up?
Just before we came on, we just mashed the potato, okay? So potato is drained, as I said, then we put it through a muley, so it's still nice and warm. So we need to add in our butter. Be careful with your eggs. As soon as you add your eggs, you need to beat it in because the eggs will actually cook and coagulate. You don't want that. Okay. So
when we're doing our practicing, can we just slightly warm that up in the microwave if it goes too hard to pipe?
Absolutely. So as I say, you can make up a kilo of mash. You can leave it and come back to it tomorrow. Okay, and just heat it up. So you can practice doing things like shells that you might do on a cake, or you might practice doing whatever it is. It's a great medium to do that, okay? And you just put it back in, and just keep reusing it, okay? So it's good for that. Now, so for our Duchesse, you can't see it, but I've drawn little circles here. I've done 4 little circles, and they're 4 centimeters apart, okay? So a Duchesse potato, classically, is 4 centimeters wide and 5 centimeters high. Now the mistake a lot of students make is they'll start piping it and it'll end up coming up into a spiral like a triangle or like a pyramid shape. It doesn't. It's meant to be the same 4 centimeters at the bottom, 4 centimeters at the top. It's actually quite a technique to learn, so it's a good way to practice. Okay. So when you're piping, I'm assuming if you're right-handed or left-handed, that's the way you do it. You'll never hold a piping bag like this and squeeze from the bottom. Okay. Always squeeze from the top. Have it nice and tight in the palm of your hand, using your fingers to press, all right? This hand is only for guiding, okay? You never squeeze with that one, okay? So I've got my little disc there. Go around. like that. So as you can see, it's the same width at the top as it is at the bottom. Okay? Right, just turn and twist it again so it's nice and tight.
So that last, or towards the top there, you just pull that in and just cover over that.
So yeah, because you've got a circle around and you just fill it in on top, exactly. All right. Yeah. Just finish in like that. All right. Again, pushing down. Like that. So as I say, for your function, so you've got a function for 100 people, you can just do up 100, 110 you probably do, and then you just straight onto your plate when it's going out. So it's great for that sort of stuff, okay? It wouldn't be really an a la carte or a cafe style potato dish.
You wouldn't see that very often in a
Like I say,
it's
a classic potato preparation. But it's good to know, okay? It's good to know. As I say, years ago there used to be a scallop dish you'd see in a lot of French restaurants, and they'd use a scallop shell. They'd pipe the potato around it, and then they put in a nice scallop in a mornay sauce and possibly glaze it under the salamander. That was a very, we would call it old-fashioned now, but very classical back in, you know, in sort of around the 70s and the 80s. So to refill it again, pull it down over your hand. Okay, so Duchesse, 4 centimeters wide, 5 centimeters tall. Okay? Now we're going to do Marquise, okay? So pushing it down. So the Marquise is slightly different. We do it in a nest shape. Now it's not round, it's to be oval shaped. So you just start, put a little bit like that, okay, which is form our base. And you just go building like a nest. Alright? Just do a little bit in the base. Because when this goes in the oven, because of the egg yolk that we have in the potato, it'll sort of form it, it'll crust up.
Souffles a little bit almost, does it?
Well, that's right. What happens is we push it with egg before we put it in the oven, and you get like a crust on the outside, but then really soft on the inside. All right, again, pushing down, twisting. So you haven't once seen me squeeze with my left hand, okay?
Oops.
Okay. So nice oval shape, not circular. All right. Now, so these could probably be a little bit higher, but I mean, we're not going to, it's not, again, it's more about the preparation of the potato mix. So I'm going to refresh. Steam preferably. If you don't steam, you need to drain it in a colander, put it back on the stove to get the steam. Maybe put a tea towel over it to get that steam out of it, that moisture out of it, okay? Then through a muley, a potato ricer, or a flour sieve. Okay, very important that we get that nice fine. We don't want lumps of mash in there because you wouldn't be able to pipe it and it'd be just horrible, okay? You need to add to a kilo of potatoes, 3 egg yolks, and pinches of nutmeg and then salt and pepper to taste, okay? And that's your preparation there, okay? So the Marquise then, you just take our tomato concasse, or concasse, and just put it in there in the middle like that, nice and neatly. Okay, and you can just use raw tomato if you wish, diced up. I like to cook it down, just get a little bit more flavour, and then when you're eating the potato at the end, it's just got that little bit more depth. Not too much. Alright? Now, I've got an egg yolk, not a whole egg, just the egg yolk, okay? Make sure it's well beaten. I'm just going to turn my oven on once. Alright, just dab it. Don't be brushy because what happens is you'll take the shape off the potato, okay? Just like a little dab.
You actually need soft hands. I always have problems with this one.
Yeah.
Soft hands, just a very light brush, isn't it?
A good tip is to let it set. Let it sit for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Then the starch in the potato will start to firm up and you'll have it a bit easier. You just dab it, you can see the egg wash just running down into the grooves. Okay? You could cook these if you wanted into like a little muffin tin, if you wanted that sort of like a little cakey shape to it, and it would sort of set and you could lift out. But the key is to get the mix right.
My brain's going 100 miles an hour thinking all the cool stuff that we could actually do with that potato mix.
Absolutely.
Or how we could serve that.
Absolutely.
With some other goodies.
Well, we could make little potato cakes out of it. You know, got a small bit of flour to it if you wanted, or just as it is like that. You could add some raw grated potato into it, and do like a hash brown nearly. So potato is very important, and it's very important to understand how to use them. So never refreshing. Try as best as possible to dry out. Okay, you're not looking for soap. You're always looking for that floury sort of texture. Okay, well, in some preparations. If you're doing a potato salad, I'd say things like a kiffed up potato has a beautiful texture to it. Alright? So there you all now. Fairly simple, but you know, you will find when you start to do it, you'll be doing all sorts of shapes. Okay, so that's fine. Pick it up, put it back in your bag and do it again. Do it again. Just practice, practice, practice. Okay? Again, you can leave it mashed, put it in the fridge, take it out tomorrow, put it in the microwave, soften it, doesn't have to be really hot. You've made it's got everything in there, you can soften it, and then you can just continue piping and practicing. Alright? So I'm going to pop them in the oven now. They'll probably take about, I'd say about 8 minutes, and I've got it about 180. They've had about 10 minutes in the oven. Now I didn't tell you, I'd start at 180, just to get that nice little, just to get it set, starting to cook, and then I'll crank it up to 220. For about the last 3 or 4 minutes to try and get that bit of colour on it, okay? Yeah. I'm allowed to say so myself, they're perfect. I'll just warm my plate. So again, as we discussed, if you could envisage a function going on in a large hotel or function centre, and there was a whole pass doing out maybe 100, 200, 300 plates, that'd be a perfect dish.
Nice colour on them.
One person just to go
beautiful
onto the plate. All right. So that'd be really where you'd see it most. It's not something you'd really have in a restaurant cafe, but
like you said before, those nice big functions, 1,000 people.
That's right.
You'd smack them out, wouldn't you?
Because you know exactly, 20 on a tray, you know how many trays you need and things like that. So as you can see, that's Pomme Duchesse, Pomme Marquise. I think they're in the assessment as well.
I was going to say, for the assessment, they need to make that potato mix and then create that Marquise, don't they?
That's right. Okay. So obviously you guys can't feel it, but it's like a nice crisp on the outside. It's got that soft on the inside. I'll have that. Now, so you don't want to go too big. Any bigger than that, it's just too much. Okay. So Pomme Duchesse is the mix. Okay. That Pomme Duchesse is the actual dish, and then Pomme Marquise, which is like an extension of Pomme Duchesse. Okay. Key points, guys. Use the right potato. Here in WA, I would recommend we use the Royal Blues. Okay. Either steam them preferably or boil them, and then when you do boil them, you must drain them and dry them out in the pot with a tea towel on them. Okay. you must put it through a muley, a ricer, or a sieve. Okay, so they're your key points. Okay, and then to a kilo of potatoes is 3 egg yolks. You have your recipes, and then you just have your concasse, which can be raw or cooked, whichever you wish. And again, you could change that filling if you wanted. This is a classic dish, but you could put you put mushroom duxelle in there or something, which would be lovely as well. All right, so that's our first potatoes. Thank you.